Start recording. All right. It's on transformational leadership. Somebody tell me what transformational leadership is. The kind you want to be. That's exactly right. That motivates, inspires, works with people. Do what?
Does it all?
Well,
I say that because I think of transformational leadership as knowing your people and what they are, and they're all going to do it differently. So you have to transform to all of them. So
that's correct.
You could be a transactional at one time if needed. You could be this strategic if you needed. Then you could be transform both if you
and
needed.
you could use differing levels of situational leadership, task and relationship behaviors. But the bottom line on transformational leadership is that they inspire and motivate rather than punish and reward and punish. Inspire and motivate versus reward and punish. That's the big deal. And your power is not positional. It's not I'm the boss because I said so because I get to park in the spot out front. You know, the notion here is that you earn the privilege of being the leader through your hard work and shared governance and working alongside of people. Think back to my top 10 for your first faculty meeting after you get your job. You know, I had a top 10 for your interviews, but I had a top 10 for your first faculty meeting. And it was all about being a servant leader. Know their names, know what they do, have an early win, you know, make sure that you've done something for somebody that shows that you can get it done, that you recognize somebody for their hard work and be specific, you know, in terms of what they did. All of that, all of those 10 things that I had on that list are little things that speak to being a transformational leader. That people ask me, well, tell me what it means in real life. I get that all the time. All right, you espouse these theories and you have us read this stuff. Tell me in action what I should do, what it would look like. It looks like that list, that top 10 list that I gave you a couple of weeks ago of the things to do. If we can, you want me to, we can review those right quick. Let's look at those. These are transformational leadership type things that you would do. It's on the back side of this one. Come on, open it up. Right here. This is 10 transformational things that you can do right here. Know everybody's name and what they do. Transformational leadership is a very personal thing. It's about building a personal relationship. What's the first part of building a personal relationship? Making the effort to know somebody's name at the first faculty meeting. That takes a lot of effort, doesn't it? By the first faculty meeting to know everybody's name. I have eidetic memory, so it's easy for me. I remember everybody's name. I remember I did all 200 at high school. I had people come out from central office because they said I couldn't do it, and I did it. But I said, you know, it's not a problem for me. But you need to learn some kind of a mnemonic or device or a game or something for memory. If you're not good at that kind of thing, you need to really work on it. That's important in this business. It's very important. And if you don't have that, you know, one of the things you can do is work on your reading speed so that you can gather more information and work on your speed and comprehension. Those kinds of things generally help you remember names, working on your speed and comprehension. So if you're not naturally gifted at being able to remember things like that, there's a couple of things that you can do. Get an early win, present something positive to the staff. I don't care how small it is, but be successful at it. It shows that you did something. Servant leadership. You weren't standing around waiting for them to do something to get a win for you. You were getting that win yourself. And that's the main tenet of servant leadership, is you're willing to do the things that you're asking them to do. You went out and got a win. You got something accomplished. Give the stat, pardon? Doesn't matter how small. It shows that you were willing to do something. I've worked for people who wouldn't ever lift a finger. I'm the boss. I'm not supposed to have to do anything. I'm just supposed to make you do it. No matter how small, that if you can show that you're willing to do things and not just make them do things, that's very important. Give the staff a quick overview of who you are and your professional experience. Why? We're trying to build that personal relationship. We want them to get to know us. Volunteer for something that nobody else wants to do. Is that not the very essence of servant leadership? Do as I do, lend a hand. Present the opening of the school plan and be conversant. You're not above it all. You know what the opening of school plan. What is the opening of school plan, by the way? It's every administrative team puts together an opening of school plan about who's going to do what, where, and when that first day. What we're going to do, who's going to be here, who's going to be there. It's a different day. And we're going to have everybody on duty. Everybody's going to be here early. Nobody's going to, everybody's going to come early. Everybody's going to stay late. Everybody's going to be on duty every period of the day. We're going to have everybody on the bus lot, the car lot, and all that because of the disruption. So you have an opening of the school plan. The textbooks are going to be in the rooms. The rooms are going to be clean. All the boxes are going to be off the loading dock for cafeteria, so the fire marshal won't be, acting stupid. All the things that we have to do. We have an opening of the opening school. That's a little more involved than everyday plans. Hey, Christy. It's on. Hey, Christy. There she is. All right. So the reason why a transformational leader would present the opening of school plan and be conversant in that plan is that who, what, where, and when, and who needs to be doing what. It's a personal relationship thing. Smile and laugh at the appropriate times, not the inappropriate times. Again, we're trying to build personal relationships with these people. It's okay to be human. Smile and laugh at the appropriate time. Don't be a grinning idiot and laugh at inappropriate times. Ask questions and take notes so you can follow up on requests. That's what servant leaders do. They don't just say, yeah, I'll get around to that, or I'll see about that later. You take out a pad and you write it down. And here's the trick about doing that. Even if you can't solve that problem, a lot of the things that people are going to ask you in the very beginning are things that nobody's been able to fix, or they know that you can't fix either. But that you took out your pad and wrote it down shows what? That they're heard, that you took them seriously. Even if you can't fix it, taking out your pad and writing it down will get you about as much credit as getting it fixed. Because a lot of times they know you can't fix it. They've been told no 1,000 times that we don't do that as a school or a district, or that's not possible. But, they're giving it one more try. You know the ones that I'm talking about. And that's about 30% of your staff, unfortunately, that think taking no for an answer shows weakness on their part, and don't seem to understand that there are limits on personnel and resources, and that you can't have everything you want. But if you'll take out your pad and write it down, it's almost as good as getting it done. Recognize someone for something positive you've seen and be specific. I really like the bulletin board that LaDonna did down in the first grade hall. LaDonna, sitting 2 seats behind you. It said, welcome first graders. Duh. Don't complain or seem worried about being ready for the opening of school. The kids will show up and school will open whether you're ready or not. What's the worst thing that you can show in front of the faculty as a leader? Fear, being frazzled. Henny penny, the sky's gonna fall. You're done if that happens. And I've seen way too many folks get into the business that would just start melting down 2 or 3 days before school was open. You know, the construction's still going on, parking lots still full of junk. You know, I mean, the school's in no way ready. They'll show up. Kids will be here whether you're ready or not. So we're having school on Monday. It's immaterial as to, you know, what happens between here and there. They're showing up. The buses are rolling up Monday morning. And some people would just lose it. That won't do you any good. Don't mention how busy you are or how hard you're working. That's the expectation for everyone, and especially for the transformational leader. We expect transformational leaders to be role models and to work harder than everybody else. And to do it with grace and dignity. Who's the greatest dancer in the history of the United States? In American history, who's the greatest dancer? Who? Alvin Ailey. Who? No. Ginger Rogers. Why? Because she did everything Fred Astaire did, but she did it backwards wearing high heels. Think about that. The analogy, folks, the analogy. Catch on, let's be faster today. The analogy. It's immaterial who the best dancer is. Everybody would always say it's Fred Astaire, but think about his partner, Ginger Rogers. She had to do everything he did backwards in high heels. That's the analogy for administration. You're supposed to make it look easy. You're supposed to work harder, backwards in high heels, and make it look effortless. That's the whole point. You're not supposed to complain about how hard you're working or how difficult the job is. You're supposed to be Ginger Rogers. You're doing it, what the greatest in the world does, and you're making it look flawless, and you're doing it backwards and as hard as that would be, and in high heels. But that's how good you're supposed to be and how effortless you're supposed to make it look. It doesn't do any good to get the job done if you look like, you know, that old parody on Saturday Night Live of the guy that's getting interviewed on 60 Minutes. He's sweating like a horse. And, you know, the old Martin Short deal where he looks like he's about to have a heart attack any minute. It doesn't do any good to get the job done if you look like that. That look does not inspire confidence. Better analogy, if you want it, is a duck. You see a duck going down the pond. What does he look like on the surface? He's just as calm as he can be. What's he doing underneath the surface where you can't see him? He's paddling like hell. That's what you're supposed to do in administration. Whichever, Ginger Rogers or the duck, I don't care what you, but that's what you're supposed to remember. You're supposed to make it look effortless. Not like you're, you know, digging ditches. It's not supposed to look that hard. It is that hard. But you will not inspire and motivate people to follow you if you make it look that hard. Why should they want to grab a hold of that? It's something that's that hard. Yes, it's hard work. And they rationally, they understand that. But if it looks like you're getting beat bloody, how many of them going to jump in there with you? None. I've had students say, well, that sounds deceptive. Well, of course it is. Grow up. We're not in middle school here. Life's not about fair and unfair and all that stuff. Of course that's deceptive. It's not unethical though. And sometimes you have to be that way to get people to leave. If you tell them that it's a suicide mission and they're all going to die, not many of them are going to go with you. You know, go back to the movies again, The Dirty Dozen. They did heroic things, but they were all bad guys, and it was a suicide mission because they were all sentenced to death anyway. But see, teachers aren't already sentenced to death. They're not going to volunteer for suicide missions. I worked with some people who you would have thought it was just they were dying. They complained every breath how hard it was, how awful it was, and they could never understand why nobody wanted to do it. Nobody wanted to help them. What is wrong with you? So, again, if you want to know what transformational leadership looks like in the beginning, as you get your new job, this is what it looks like. Each of these is based on one of the principles of transformational leadership. And y'all thought I just made this stuff up. All right. So we've already done this survey. Everybody knows that the answer is always 4 on this one, but it's good to review these things. And these are some of the statements. I go out of the way to make others feel good around me, to be around me. Again, I don't make it hard to be around me. I don't tell you how awful it is and what a bad job it is. I help others with their self-development. I help others understand my visions through the use of tools such as images, stories, and models. I ensure others get recognition or rewards when they achieve difficult or complex goals. I let others work in the manner that they want. I get things done. I have an ever-expanding network of people who trust and rely upon me. I provide challenges for my team members to help them grow. I use simple words, images, and symbols to convey to others what we should or could be doing. I manage others by setting standards that we agree on. I rarely give direction or guidance to others if I sense they can achieve their goal. I consistently provide coaching and feedback so that my team members know how they are doing. People listen to my ideas and concerns not out of fear, but because of my skills, knowledge, and personality. I provide an empathetic shoulder when others need help. I help others with new ways of looking at new and complex ideas or concepts. I ensure poor performance gets corrected. It does not say punished. As long as things are going smoothly, I am satisfied, and I monitor all projects that I'm in charge of to ensure the team meets its goal. And so here are your transformational leadership factors: charisma, social, vision, transactional, delegation, and execution. Personal charm. Being a charismatic leader, somebody who people instinctively like and like to be around. People who aren't snarky and mean, who don't say ugly things. It's kind of the cult of personality, charisma, charm. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Brandy? Of course you can. I used to tell my assistant principals all the time, every team I was ever leader of, when you can fake sincerity, we've got it made. Got to learn to fake sincerity. Hmm. That's exactly right. We've got to make you believe that, you know, that you genuinely think that the leader cares about you and who you are and your needs and wants and desires. Absolutely. You can learn those things. One of the things that I see that works especially well, I don't need to be sexist at all here, but it works especially well with women. If you will touch a man on the arm around his elbow, when you're speaking with him or whatever, what does that, isn't that a sign of that's a charisma deal there. And that makes them think that you really care about them or that you're interested in what they have to say. Yeah. Hmm. And so that's a good question. Yes, you can learn. Who was the guy, the sales guy, Zig Ziglar or whatever, that wrote the book basically on how to teach yourself to be charismatic so you can sell stuff to people? That was used in business schools forever. And that's all it was learning techniques to get people to like you so they would buy stuff from you. You're doing the same thing here. Why do you remember that there were several questions in the perceiver for principles about selling and business? That's to determine if if you're charismatic. Can you sell stuff? If you've had experience in business, retail, selling, whatever, that means you have personal skills that you can fake. You can at least fake charisma. You may have it, but you can at least fake it. Just because that's what you're doing is selling. It's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. All right. Which one of these is the transactional statement and which is the transformational statement? Here we go. As a leader, I have primary mission maintaining stability or mission for change. Which is transactional, the traditional power roles, and which is transformational? So each time, tell me which one of them is transformational. B. See, that's okay. B is transformational. That's correct. All right. Number 2, which is transformational? B would be that one also. Leader, I facilitate events. 3. Yes. 4. No. Long range, because it's long-term goals. Transactional leaders are visionary. What does visionary mean? Mean that down the road, not right here. They don't just see right in front of them, they see down the road. So the correct answer for 4 is A. My preference is to think long range, what might be. Creativity, down the road. Vision for the organization. Not just what's realistic right in front of me. All right, 5, as a leader, I spend considerable energy in managing separate but related goals. As a leader, I spend considerable energy in arousing hopes, expectations, and aspiration among my followers. That would be B. While not in a formal classroom sense, I believe that a significant part of my leadership is that of a teacher. Or I believe that a significant part of my leadership is that of a facilitator. That would be B. Guide on the side instead of sage on the stage. Why? Guide on the side rather than sage on the stage. Because guide on the side works much better with adults than sage on the stage. Having a conversation like we're doing right now, guiding you, talking with you, works better than just getting up and lecturing and writing notes and doing all that stuff. That's exactly right.
Right, and then you produce some more leaders, and that speaks for you.
That's exactly right. It allows you to develop your leadership. Why, other than I'm just a generally nice guy, why did I give you a choice of on 13 weeks of 15? Why did I give, and on the other two, I gave you one discussion board. But those other 13 weeks, why did I give you a choice of either going situational leadership with Hershey Blanchard or supervision with Glickman? Why did I do that? Autonomy. I want you to find your path. You folks are naturally inclined to one or the other. Very rarely will you find somebody, oh, I enjoy both of those things equally. You don't. Most leaders either go like the supervision stuff from Glickman, which is more about curriculum, and then operations people like me tend to flock toward Hershey and Blanchard, which is just straight leadership stuff and operations and organizations and that kind of stuff. You kind of go one way or the other. It's the rare person who says I love both of them equally if they tell the truth. That Glickman stuff, makes my skin crawl. It's too loosely coupled. I like the leadership stuff going that way. But you have to find your path, and you have to. Now, part of it is you may have to. You say, well, Dale, they might not do the things they really need to. Well, I'm not sure beating them over the head, beating people over the head, and making them do the things that they don't want to do is what a transformational leader is supposed to do anyway. You're supposed to help people find their own path. And what people will find is if they go one direction and they need that information that they missed, they'll go back. But you kind of find your path. It doesn't mean you can't switch back and forth, but you have to find your path and find your bliss and what kind of job you want, what kind of leader you want to be, whether it's just straight curriculum or whether it's kind of operations in terms of where your career is going to go. And that speaks to a lot about what kind of happiness you'll find and what kind of job that you will be suited for. People that need creativity and a high degree of flexibility and a low degree of supervision don't do well in at-risk schools because those kids don't comply that way. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're.
What type of people don't do well?
People that are highly creative and loosely coupled and who don't like supervision and want to do different things all the time don't work well in high risk schools because those kids are different every day. They won't fall into a pattern, and you shouldn't try to get them into a pattern. That's not. You can try all you want to, but it's like herding cats, isn't it, Brandon? If you're that person that, you can try all you want to. So you need to find your own personal style and the area that you like going the best, whether it be supervision with Glickman or whether it be leadership with Hershey Blanchard. You need to kind of figure that out and develop your own leadership style through that. But the overarching theory here again is transformational, is being a servant leader. As a leader, I must engage with followers at an equal level of morality, or as a leader, I must represent a higher morality. Higher. You're supposed to be a role model. I enjoy stimulating followers to want to do. I enjoy rewarding followers for a job well done. That's A, stimulating. Leadership should be practical. Leadership should be inspirational. Leadership should be inspirational. What power I have to influence others comes primarily from my ability to get people to identify with me and my ideas. What power I have to influence others comes primarily from my status position.
This one I had trouble.
Oh, this is the actual. These are the number 10 is the actual definition of transformational and transactional. This should be the easiest one.
Well, the other ones were easier.
No,
And I know the difference.
transactional power, it only comes from status. My name's on the door. I get to park out front. You have to do what I say because of my position. That is the absolute definition of transactional power. The absolute definition of transformational power is my influence, the power I have to influence others comes from my ability to get people to identify with me and my ideas. It's not because of my title or what my name is on the door. It's because they see and believe in me and my ideas. And that's why they come along with me in our quest to whatever we're, to attack whatever things that we're trying, or whatever goals we're trying to accomplish. So number 10 is the absolute definition of transformational versus transactional. Number 10 is it. That's what they are. All right. All right. So again, I have the link to VARC, and it tells all about the VARC Learning Inventory. Tells you something about yourself that you may not know. It can be used to understand your boss, your colleagues, parents, workmates. This tells all about it. The link is on week 10. And here is the questionnaire. Here we go. All right. So let's see how we do here. Choose the answer that best explains your preference and click the box next to it. Please click more than one if a single answer does not match your perception. Leave blank any questions that don't apply. All right, here we go. You are helping someone who wants to go to your airport, the center of town, or railway station. You would tell her the directions, go with her, write down the directions, draw or show her a map, or give her a map.
It's something to fill out individually because you're different learners.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I already took it, but I was looking on the website.
How many of you would think about going with them? It does, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I was walking out of DCC last week, back over to my office in Lindsay. DCC is the lunchroom. And the lady flagged me down and wanted to know how to get to the supply store where you buy the student store, where you buy the paraphernalia. It's not far, easy to see. And so what did I say to her? Just follow me on over there. It's on campus. I'm there. My vehicle's parked right there. What was the big deal? I was heading over that way anyway. My point is, I'm not a nice person. The point is, if it's something that easy and I'm not having to get in their vehicle and it's something right there, yeah, that I would do that. But I think the more appropriate answer probably for most situations is to draw or show a map or give a map. I'm not sure that going with somebody is, that's always the smartest thing. I had an incident recently that it was the easiest, quickest thing, but that's rare. If you're going to cook something as a special treat, you would use a cookbook where you know there is a good recipe. Look on the internet or in some cookbooks for ideas from the pictures. Ask friends for suggestions. Cook something you know without the need for instructions. For me, I would cook something I know without the need for instructions. If it's going to be something special, I'm not trying something new. That's probably not transformational, but a group of tourists wants to learn about the parks or wildlife reserves in your area. You will take them to a park, talk about or arrange to talk about parks, give them a book or pamphlet, or show them maps or internet pictures.
A group of tourists and tourists, you take them in.
Again, that's one of those things where taking them might not be the smartest, safest thing. For me, I'd probably give them maps and internet pictures. You have a problem with your heart, you would prefer that the doctor use a plastic model to show you what was wrong, give you something to read, describe what was wrong, or show you a diagram of what was wrong.
I'm a visual learner.
Plastic model. You have finished the competition or test and would like some feedback. Would like to. Okay, you need somebody to talk you through it. If you're taking a test, you need a written description of your results, or using graphs showing what you've achieved, or use examples from what you've done. From somebody who talks it through with you.
I'd say someone who would talk it with me and then examples.
You're planning a vacation for a group. You want some feedback from them about the plan. You would use a map to show them the places, give them a copy of the printed itinerary, describe some of the highlights they will experience, phone, text, or email. Digital camera or a mobile phone. Other than price, what would most influence your decision? The salesperson telling me about its features, tiring or testing it. Its modern design looks good. Reading the details or checking the features online. I read the details and check the features online. A website has a video showing how to make a special graph. There's a person speaking, some list words describing what to do, and some diagrams. You would learn most from reading the words, listening, seeing the diagrams, watching the actions.
Diagram, watching.
Other than price, what would most influence your decision to buy a new nonfiction book? It has real life stories, experiences, examples. What'd you say? You wouldn't. The way it looks is appealing. Quickly reading parts of it, a friend talks about it and recommends it. A friend talks about it and recommends it, or I quickly read parts of it.
You probably read the whole, you don't have to buy books like that. You probably read the whole thing.
I can. See, that's the neatest thing. I can go in and go through it pretty quickly. You want to learn a new program, skill, or game on a computer, you would read the written instructions that came with the program. Use controls of the keyboard. Talk to people who know about the program. Follow the diagrams in the book that came with it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Find a 10-year-old. I just read the instructions. You have to make an important speech at a conference or special occasion. You would write out your speech and learn from reading it over several times. Write down a few keywords and practice saying your speech over. Make diagrams or get graphs. Gather many examples and stories to make the talk real and practical. I would gather many examples and stories, and I would write down a few keywords. Remembering the time when you learned how to do something new Avoid choosing a physical skill like riding a bike. You learned best by watching a demonstration. Listen to somebody explaining it and asking questions. Diagrams, map charts, visual clues, written instructions, book or manual. It's according to what it is. If it's technology, it's definitely by watching a demonstration. If it's something other than that, it's usually written instructions.
Like a fight?
It said anything except a physical skill. Yeah, anything but besides a physical skill. That's why I said it's according to what it was. If it's technology based, people learn best with pictures. That's why I had that CMS manual created in 2009 that I showed you last week. What was on, we had manuals that had all that text in them, and what were people doing? They couldn't begin to figure it out. So what did I have that company do? Take pictures to go along with the text, and we turned a week-long training that was being unsuccessful into 3 hours that was being successful with the use of pictures. You realize it used to take, when Brenda and that group was training people in technology, they'd keep them 5 days over at PDC, and they came out, they didn't know any more than when they went in. We built a manual, put pictures in it, do a 3-hour training with people, good to go. Take the manual home with them, ready to go. That's the way it is with technology, though. It was amazing how much quicker and faster. I like websites that have things that I can click on, shift, or try, interesting designs and visual features, interesting rituals, lists and explanations, audio channels. Right? Oh, I hate the last one. I don't want that at all. I like interesting written descriptions, lists, and explanations. I don't care about the design and visual features. You are using a book, CD, or website to learn how to take photos with your new digital camera. You would like to have many examples of good and poor photos and how to improve them. Oh, I like that. Clear written instructions with lists and bullet points about what to do. I like that. If you're going to choose a food at a restaurant or cafe, you would listen to the waiter or ask friends to recommend choices. Choose from the descriptions on the menu. Choose something you've had before. Look at what others are eating or look at pictures of each dish. I like to choose from the descriptions in the menu. Do you prefer a teacher or presenter who uses demonstrations, models, or practical sessions? That would be me. Handouts, books, or readings, questions and answer, talk, group discussion, or guest speakers, diagrams, charts, or graphs. Okay. You have a multimodal learning preference. Use the following. Okay. Visual or read writes, kinesthetic. $15, they'll tell you how you learn best. All right. It's never good when you have to click on the last age group and it still ain't even close. That's just that's not funny at all. Okay. Okay. That would be, I like manuals. So I get that part of it, but I also like the practical stuff. That's why I just like every week I tell you, this is the practical application of all the stuff that we're supposed to learn this week. You've done your reading. I bring in practical examples every week. I think I learn well from those. I don't know if y'all do or not, but I do. And so that's why I bring that stuff in every week. So that makes perfect sense to me. Everything that you'll go back, if you go back and click on all of our weekly sessions, everything you'll see is something that's a practical application of that week's learning objective. I think people learn that well that way. Because I get a lot of people who ask me, what does this look like in real life? I read this chapter last night. What does it mean in real life? Well, this is the interpretation in real life. This is what you will run into. All right. So that's our lesson this week. I made it in 47 minutes, an all-time record. Christy, thanks for joining us. I'll sign off and post this now. And we'll see you next week, and you get feeling better, okay?
Thank you.
All right, here we